Okay, children. So if you have your textbook, you will see the first metal we are taking is magnesium ribbon.
Children, see, before start this activity, I think you are having textbook with you. On page number 49, in the observation table is given 6 test tubes A, B, C, D, E, F, isn't it? In the first one, we are going to take magnesium ribbon. Okay, is it clear? Magnesium ribbon. The second one, aluminium.
Aluminum foil, okay? We have cut it into small pieces. This is granules, okay?
Then iron filings.
So here is iron filings.
Then copper turnings.
Okay. So here are your copper. Is copper, okay?
And charcoal, of course, we don't have. We are using as a non-metal.
Sulfur.
Sulfur we are. Okay.
We will be using sulfur as a non-metal. Okay. And here we are having acids. Dilute hydrochloric acid, dilute sulfuric acid, and dilute nitric acid. We are going to use only dilute acids here. Okay. And then we have a spirit lamp. So to check if after raising the temperature, things react or not. Okay. If at room temperature, if the metals or the non-metal is not reacting, what will happen when we raise the temperature? Okay. We also have a tong or test tube holder. Okay. We have a test tube holder. So when we are heating, we will be using this to hold our test tube.
So first what we are going to do is, I will take 5 test tubes. So of course I don't mark it as A, B, C, D, F as marked, but I will arrange accordingly. So in the first I am going to take magnesium, in second aluminum, third iron filings, fourth copper, and in fifth I am going to take sulfur powder. So after that, what we do is, in all the 5 test tubes we have to add dilute hydrochloric acid and we have to observe. So how to come to reaction is taking place? See, there are so many observations. Sometimes the reaction can be observed by the heat release. Of course, you cannot experience it, not feel it, because this is from lab. We have been in the lab, we don't experience. Or sometimes bubbles will come, sometimes gas will be released, some smoke may come, sometimes color may come. So there are the different ways to observe the reactions. Today, what we do is, we take 4 metals and 1 non-metal in 5 different test tubes, and let us try with dilute hydrochloric acid.
So what would be the observations when the reaction takes place? Either there would be a change in the color, or gas would be released, okay, or there would be some different smoke, smell may be coming. So, but of course, you will not be able to the release of gas or the smell. Only if there is a color change, you will be able to observe it, right? So, there may be sometimes bubbles coming. So, if bubbles are coming, you might be able to see. Okay, if our camera is effective, you might be able to see. But here, when we know that when metals react with acids, they produce hydrogen gas. So, we will be using a burning matchstick and bringing it near to the mouth of the test tube, and there would be a pop sound. If the pop sound comes, means gas has released. So we will be doing that. I hope you are able to hear that pop sound, but if you're not able to hear, trust in us. If it is coming, I'll say the pop sound has come. Okay, and then we will continue with the next. Otherwise, if it doesn't react in the room temperature, we will warm it and see it. First, we will do, we'll take metals, all the 4 metals and the non-metal, and try the reaction with the dilute hydrochloric acid. Later, we will try with dilute sulfuric acid. Hope I am clear, children.
Now, in 5 different test tubes, the first I have taken magnesium metal, second aluminium, third iron filings, fourth copper turnings, and the fifth, this is E. So sulfur powder we have taken. Now, what we are going to do is, one by one. The first test tube, we add dilute hydrochloric acid. Let us see at room temperature whether it reacts or not. If not, just we will warm it and see. What do you mean by dilute hydrochloric acid? You know, acids usually in the form of concentrated. So we have to dilute it. Means we have to reduce its concentration. This is called dilution of acid using water. Okay, that you will study in higher classes. Now, first I am going to take 5 ml of hydrochloric acid using a dropper. So this glass tube can be used as a dropper. So this is the first test tube in which we have taken magnesium ribbon. So I am going to add hydrochloric acid to this. You can see the gas and the
Bubbles are coming out. Hope you are able to observe. Let us see whether the pop sound also comes. So you see observe the bubbles. Even if you are not able to hear the pop sound, you observe the bubble, the reaction is taking place.
See, it requires flow. So I can feel the heat. Hot, this one also. Now see.
Yes, there was a slight pop sound.
Was there.
The slight pop sound was there, but you may not be able to hear it. So there was a pop sound.
See, this reaction is observed. If I touch here, it is warm. So warm it is. Bubbles you can see. Gas is also released. Okay. So this way we can check whether it is reacting or not. Now the question does not arise to warm it and check. Why? Because at room temperature itself it reacted. Okay.
Still the bubble and gas are coming if you observe carefully. So if it is reacting at room temperature, it will be reacting in the when it is heated also. So in the first column, magnesium ribbon, it is given, right, dilute hydrochloric acid at room temperature at after warming. So put tick in both, that it will react with both. Okay. Is the first reaction clear to you? Shall we move to the second? Please respond.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So next I have taken aluminium granules. Okay, in this to add again dilute hydrochloric acid. Let us see whether it is reacting instantaneously or not. So I am going to add. You can observe the bubble. One more time we try to observe the pop sound.
Observe, this is very clear. See, it was very loud. Did you hear?
Yes, ma'am.
So at least somebody of you could hear the sound, no pop sound, pop. At least
the flame went off. So there was a great reaction with the aluminium.
Actually, it is difficult to withhold. Use the pressure, no? I cannot hold with the thumb. In between, somebody had a request. So luckily we got it, and in record you can see that once again.
Okay, and so what will you do in the column with in front of aluminium? It is reacting with room temperature, so surely it will react when the temperature is raised. So put a tick in both the columns.
Next we'll try with iron fillings. Okay. I'm going to add hydrochloric acid, dilute hydrochloric acid to this. But here the reaction, no, difficult to observe, and it is very slow. Let us try to. So it is actually, I can see here the change in the color of the acid. That means it is reacted.
It is reacting, but it is very slow reaction. There is a change in the color. Hope you children are able to appreciate the difference in the intensity of the color in this camera. Okay, so there is a change in the color. So the reaction is taking place, but the release of gas is very minimal. So we may not be able to observe it as clearly the way we observed the pop sound or the way we observed it in the magnesium ribbon. So let us heat and see whether it is releasing great amounts of gas, and are we able to hear that hydrogen gas
Actually, I can experience the heat also here. It's got
and bubbles. So we have heated it. Let us try with the
this is quite challenging. If you are in the lab, means would have shown you better way. So you can see that immediately
the flame is getting off, right? Immediately the flame is put off. So definitely the gas has released. But otherwise also you can see the change in the color. There are bubbles. You see the change.
So we'll go for next. This is copper turnings. Okay. Now,
so same way you put a tick that it is reacting. The iron filings react at room temperature as well as when it is warmed.
here not much changes. Okay. But this copper may react with some other acids also. Shall I try with some other acid like nitric acid?
Okay, sir.
We'll do it later. We'll follow the first, this part, the table which is given. First we complete that. So you can write at room temperature, no reaction. Okay.
Copper is not reacting with dilute hydrochloric acid at room temperature. So let us try and warm it up. Let us see if we warm it up, whether it is reacting.
Yes.
So in the tabular column against copper, you will write at room temperature, it doesn't react. Now let us try with sulfur, whether the sulfur is reacting with hydrochloric acid.
You can see very well.
So there is no change in the color, no bubbles are coming, no gas is released, heat is also not produced. So there is no formation of a new substance. So what does it mean? That the reaction is not taking place. So with the same in the mind, sulfur is a non-metal. Charcoal means actually carbon. So carbon is also a non-metal. So non-metals generally do not react with acids. So at room temperature, it is not reacting. Even if we heat it, it will not react.
Warm means you not to heat. Okay. It's not reacting.
It is not reacting. Okay. So there is no reaction of sulfur when it is added to dilute hydrochloric acid at room temperature or when it is heated. So do not react against both charcoal and sulfur. The same thing, same four metals and a non-metal, we will be trying with dilute sulfuric acid. So things started reacting or showing reaction with hydrochloric acid. What about if we change the acid? So sulfuric acid, whether the things will react in the same way, whether it will react in the room temperature. So we will check them out.
Ma'am, why talons were not used while burning sulfuric metal?
Sulfur. Why we didn't use? Because we already know that it is not going to react. So usually, and we are not going to warm it very high. We should have used it. It is actually a safety precaution. So we should have used it, but we were sure that nothing is going to happen. In other cases, we have to be very careful. We should have used in sulfur also because we are heating the acid. So whenever we are heating acids, we should use the test tube holder. But sir is experienced, so he could handle it. But when you come to the lab, you use all the safety precaution. Good observation, Rohit.
Thank
So
you.
I like children who observe carefully.
Okay, we'll try with dilute sulfuric acid. Okay. So in first test tube, we have taken the magnesium ribbon. Now I am going to add dilute sulfuric acid to it. It is instant reaction. Do you see that?
Could you see that how the flame was put off? And could you, any of you hear, at least one of you, did you hear the pop sound?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am.
Once more.
I heard.
See, this is not like the which we got in this aluminum. Okay, earlier we got now. See, beginning itself I told you we can observe the reaction in different ways. Like without heating it itself, we started reacting by giving the release of gas plus bubbles. You can see heat is also released. Okay. So I'm sorry if you were in the lab, you would have enjoyed all this.
Yes, you could have involved all your senses, visual and touch and smell, everything, because the smell is also coming. So we cannot make that experience, but at least your visual experience you can have.
Now in the column you can put room temperature. You can put. And so warm, of course.
If it is reacting in room temperature, surely when the temperature is raised, it will react. So in the first column of magnesium with dilute sulfuric acid, it is reacting. So put a tick. Next one we are doing with aluminium foil. So we have trimmed aluminium foil. So we are adding dilute sulfuric acid and keep quiet and try to listen to the pop sound. Definitely you will hear.
It requires this reaction is very slow. Okay, I can see the only change in the color and very little of this bubbles you can see here.
So aluminum foil, though it reacted very fast with dilute hydrochloric acid, but it is taking time to react with dilute sulfuric acid. So in the beginning itself, I told you children that the reaction of metals with different acids at different temperature varies. So the reaction was vigorous with hydrochloric acid, but with dilute sulfuric acid, it is slow. So you can see the change in the color. You may be able to observe the change in the color, but definitely there is a release of gas, a very little bit of that is released, so it will not produce the pop sound. We may not be able to observe that, but otherwise the reaction is taking place. It will take time. Okay.
See this, whatever aluminum pieces I have put, granules. You can see the reacting part on the surface of this metal. I'm sorry you are not able to see.
So there is change color of the granule. So if you see aluminum, it is here shining. The one which was shining, we took it from this. So you see it is shining, okay, and you see the color inside the test tube. It is changed. So the color of the aluminum granule is changing. That means the reaction is taking place, but it is a slow reaction. So let us see whether when we heat it, whether we are able to see the reaction, observe it more in a better way. So are you able to observe it in a better way?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So gas is released.
No, ma'am.
So you have to see the bubbles here. The bubbles are coming. The gas is coming. The color change, mainly the color change of the aluminum granules is dictating. Because when we eat acids, the bubbles may come. But here, so bubbles may not be the accurate way to understand whether the reaction is taking place. But here there is a change in the color of the aluminum granule.
Anyhow, you learn in 9th standard also, it is there in 10th standard.
So now I hope that this is clear. Now you are able to see the color change in the granules. I have tried to focus it as much as I can.
We'll move to the next metal, is iron fillings.
So we are adding dilute sulfuric acid to iron filings. There is
So just you have to warm it only, you should not heat it. If I supply more amount of it, naturally bubbles will come.
okay.
You
So
put the tick mark, no?
put a tick mark. The next one is copper trimmings. So copper again doesn't react with dilute sulfuric acid at room temperature. So let us see what happens when we warm it. So just don't concentrate on bubbles because we are eating acid, so bubbles will come. So that will not be the indication. We have to see whether there is a color change or the gas is coming out. So
No change as such.
no change, it is as it is. So put cross on both room temperature after warming. So copper is not reacting with sulfuric acid, neither was it reacting with the dilute hydrochloric acid at room temperature. Sulfuric acid to the sulfur, which is not reacting. It is not showing any reaction. There is no color change, there is no heat formation, there is no gas coming out. So there is no reaction with the sulfur. So same thing follows for charcoal also. So there is no reaction. So write no reaction. And when you heat it also, there would not be any reaction.
So already I have supplied the heat. No changes.
No changes. So there is no reaction. So non-metals. So from this we observe that non-metals do not react with acids. Now I told you I'll show you copper trimmings with another acid where it will react. And we have the third acid, dilute nitric acid. And with this, after this, we'll wind it up. Okay. So we'll take in a test
So
tube.
this is very vigorous and instantaneous reaction.
So instantaneously, so observe carefully.
And actually this is very poisonous gas. You cannot hold it for a long time. Okay. And what you are going to observe is, you know the copper color. On adding of this, you will find the brown fumes. On adding of nitric acid, you will find the brown fumes, and I cannot hold it for a long time. This is actually poisonous gas. It's harmful for breathing also. You can see the color of the acid. It's colorless. On adding this, you will find two changes. One, brown fumes. The other one, the color of this acid will turn to green. Okay. Both you can see here.
Make a note of it. Copper reacts with nitric acid. So we are using dilute nitric acid at room temperature. Okay, we will heat it. If it is not coming at room temperature, we will heat it.
Due to moisture, no? It will take some time.
There is a color change in the acid. You are seeing the transparent acid became,
color you see.
and see the top of the test tube, there are brown fumes. The test tube has also become brown. He observed both the things. The color of the acid has become green and there is a brown fumes coming out. So copper is reacting with nitric acid when it is warm. At room temperature, it didn't react, but when we warmed it, it started reacting. So different metals react with different acids at different temperature. But non-metals do not react with acids, generally do not react with acids.
And one more thing, even without supplying heat also or without warming, sometimes it reacts. It depends upon the concentration of the nitric acid which we have used, nitric acid. No, actually, if you are here, means you would have enjoyed that smell also. You cannot breathe it. The smell is coming. It's very poisonous.